All right, here we go. December 21st. I actually had a pretty cool series of open mics this week, honestly. Um, how to go into it? So my set right now, is really based on the United Healthcare CEO shooting, and so I've been approaching that set in a number of different ways. I'm not going to give anything away here, but basically, there's some very controversial opinions. There's some controversial opinions I have in this set, and the black community does not like that. And so what happened on Tuesday? Tuesday there's an open mic here at this place called Swagger Lounge. A lot of black people. It's all black people, honestly. Except for like the comics and a few people here and there, everyone's black. It is what it is. But it's fun. It's a nice room. I like it. I really do. I like going there because they're fun. They're fun. And so I'm on stage, and I try to do my jokes, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it at all. I'm on stage for like a minute and a half, and that's it. Like, they didn't boo me off. But it was like, as soon as I said the first line of one of these controversial jokes, they're like, no, don't go there. Don't say that. Don't go there. And I was just like, hear me out. Come on, hear me out. And they're like, no. Like, don't do it. Don't talk about that. I'm just like, come on. And they're like, no. You know, I had like, for some context, the stage at Swagger Lounge is, you're like not sitting, but like you're in the center of the room, and then people are all around you. And so I had like 3 groups of people around me. There was like one right there, one right here, and one behind me, all kind of like saying like, no, like, no, don't go into that. And I was like, really? And like, all right. There were 2 people. There's one dude on my right, and there's this other guy in the back behind me who were like, hey, yo, talk your shit. You know, say what you got to say. I want to hear it. I want to hear what you've got to say, you know? But everyone else was like against it. And what I've learned with comedy is you really do want to read the room, you know? You really do want to, in some instances, take their opinion into account, because if they're telling you that they don't want to hear what it is that you have to say, even when you ask them, hear me out, chances are, if you keep going into it, you're going to make everybody mad, or you're going to annoy everybody, or you're going to walk the room, or you're going to make it difficult for the comic after you to like have a good set, you know? There's a lot of other variables at play in comedy than just me getting laughs. At least with open mics. You know, with the show, a little different because people paid for that show, so they're gonna get where they're gonna get. And obviously there's other variables in that, but I won't go into that. But overall, when you're on a show, you want to deliver on a good show, right? Because you're a performer and it's your job to perform. In this case, as a comedian, my performance is telling jokes. So I got off a minute and a half in because they took my time because they didn't want me to be up there anymore. I got into it a little bit with the lady who was running the clock. Nothing too bad. It was all fun, honestly. Afterward, it was all fun. She and we like high-fived and everything afterward. It's all good. But so I get off of stage, or I get off the mic, and so I have a few comedians, a number of comedians actually, come up to me afterward and give me some pointers and stuff here and there. But they were all they were laughing. He's like, "Man, dude, we were dying over here." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Dude, it was so funny. Like, it was so funny to us. Not so much because of what you were saying, but because of everything that was happening, right? Like, just how much the audience did not want to hear what I had to say." They're like, "No." It was really, really funny. One of my buddies, he came up to me after I was done and he just gave me a hug and then he laughed. But it was cool. It was cool. Even though I only went up for a minute and a half, and even though I got my time taken, and even though it's clearly a topic I can't talk about in that room, there's something to be learned from all of it, which is like, all right, I need to approach this a little differently in this room, but that's the other side of comedy though, that you don't hear about, when you hear comedians talking on podcasts. And that's just one of the realities that you come to find out in practicing comedy, which is that, like, yes, you want to do your jokes and you want to make people laugh, but there is this other side of the joke that has say in the joke, obviously, and that's the audience, right? It's like, all right, there's stuff that I want to say that I think is funny, but if the other side doesn't think it's funny, it's not funny, right? So, there are comedians that I've met who are just like, no, you do whatever you want, to hell with the audience, right? And I can see there's some validity to that, but like everything else I've observed in life, there's pros and cons to everything, and there is no real set rule on anything. So, while some comedians can say to hell with the audience, applying that as your standard just means that you're going to run into situations where that's not the thing that you want to do. And by the same token, me as well, with not going into some subject matter at the request of the audience, helps me with those instances where that's the thing that I should do, but then it also hurts me in instances where maybe I should go into my material a little bit more. But based on my experience, the room, the subject matter, and the approach I took, a la asking them to hear me out, and they still didn't want to hear me out, it was probably safe to not go into it, honestly, because from my vantage point, I could see that the vibe of the room definitely shifted a little bit after that, and the host the host of the room, Leroy, he went on maybe two comedians after me, and kind of like got the crowd loosened up again, and got them laughing and everything, and got everything kind of resituated. And then after he went on, the room kind of mellowed out. It's a weird feeling. I've mentioned this to some friends before, but in my experience, there's definitely a feeling in the room when you're doing comedy, and you can feel it when you're on stage. You can feel it when the audience is really clued into you, when they're really paying attention to every single word you say. That's my favorite feeling ever, just flat out, period. Like, not just in comedy, but just in life in general, when everyone is perfectly tuned in to everything I'm saying, and I can just feel I have complete command of the room. It's like it's a very unique and very distinct feeling, and when I get it, I'm like, oh, I'm on a roll right now. Like, let's just keep this going, So that's really nice. I love that. But that to say, there have been instances where I've been on stage and I can feel like anxiety, or I can feel animosity, or I can feel like the audience is trying to get me. Like I'm kind of losing them, and they kind of want to turn on me, so I kind of have to like push them back and get at them, right? It's weird. I can't quite explain it, other than it really is just a feeling that you learn to feel on stage, and it's pretty interesting. So I went on stage, ruined the vibe of the room, and then could feel it was a little off for a little bit. Then Leroy went up. Then Leroy went up and did his thing, got everybody warmed up again, and then after that, it mellowed out. So I did that Tuesday. That was the first mic. Second mic after that, I did similar jokes. I changed them a little bit, though, taking that into account, what had just happened. And then Wednesday night was an awesome night, honestly, because I took the same set. I worked it a little bit, took that controversial topic, put it towards the end. It's like at the very end of the set, sort of. And out of that, I actually found a whole other angle to not necessarily that topic, but to the set as a whole. And I still have that one controversial portion, that one controversial opinion, and that's kind of a punchline now of sorts. So I'm like, all right, I need to take that and kind of like sit this at the back of the set as like a punchline, rather than being a topic within the set, right? Without obviously getting into it. And that set actually went over really nicely. Because I found that whole other angle, and I'm like, all right, I like this. I need to write some jokes on this, so I'm gonna do that. And afterward, I had a few comedians come up to me afterward and like, yo, dude, like, your premises are like, dude, that's awesome. Like, I never thought of that, right? And then another guy, he's like, bro, he's like, that set on, he said the thing. He's like, bro, that's such a trip. Like, I never thought of that. That's the kind of set that I wish I had thought of, because I want to write jokes on that. Like, you can go so many different places with that, right? Like keep working that. I'm like, thank you. Yes, I will. I've only been doing the set for like a week and a half, but I will. And so, it's been nice, honestly. I can definitely feel the vibe of other comedians around me here in Houston changing. Part of that, I think, is because, I've been on the scene here in Houston since July, right? So it's been 6 months, and like a lot of the comedians have seen me regularly, and they've all, not all of them, but the ones that I do talk to from time to time, a few of them have mentioned that, like, he's like, dude, I see you out here all the time. So, I kind of want to give you my opinion on this. This is my perspective on the jokes and everything. And, if you want to hear it, cool. If not, no worries. I'm just like, dude, tell me. Like, I like hearing other people's perspectives on my acts, because it helps me. It may help me learn something that I'm not aware of, or it may help me see something in a different light that I hadn't considered. And so, yeah, that's been nice too. And it's kind of one of those things that I knew it takes time, you know. In Houston, there's a lot more comedians, and so you see a lot more faces, and so it takes more time to get to know everyone, right? Because sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't see them all that much. Sometimes you don't have an opportunity to talk, yeah, and you don't want to be disingenuous either. I don't want to be going around just trying to like meet everybody and be everybody's friend, right? Not exactly. I want friendships to form in the manner that they're going to form over time, and those serendipitous events where I'm standing in this one spot in the room and they're standing right there, and I'm just like, hey man, I've seen you go up before. I really like this one joke that you've got. And he's like, oh man, thank you. And that's the extent of our interaction. And then like a week later, I see him as I'm walking into the club. I'm just like, hey man, what's up? I'm like, oh, I'm good. Stuff like that, right? It's so small and it's so simple. But then that's like the basis for everything, in terms of like, forming friendships and forming bonds and building relationships and everything. But it takes time. You can't rush through that whole thing. And I'm generally a quiet person of sorts. I'm not super out there and loud. Which is kind of why it surprises some people when I tell them I do comedy. Like, you do comedy? I'm just like, yes, I do. But so, because of that, I take my time to meet people, and it's taken the time that I've been doing comedy here in Houston to become familiar with the other comedians on the Houston scene. And as a result, now I'm getting to the point where they're starting to like, hey yo, maybe think about this, or maybe think about that, or they'll pull me to the side and just like, hey yo dude, I like this, I like that, but hey, don't forget about this and that. And it's nice. It really is. Because for the first few months, you feel like a bit of a loner. Honestly, I felt like a bit of a loner on the comedy scene. And you don't know anybody, I don't know anyone, and so all I have to do is show up, put my name on the list, go on whenever they call me, make sure the host knows who I am so that I don't get missed, which happened a few times, unfortunately. And then go up, do your jokes, and bump into somebody, say hey, that's it, go home, rinse, repeat. 6 months later, here I am, so that was fun. That was fun. I'm digging this set, honestly. It's really relevant right now. There's a lot of different opinions on the particular topic in question between Brian Thompson and Luigi Mangione. And there's an interesting angle I think I have on it that other comedians have said that is an interesting angle. That does get laughs on stage, so that's also promising. And that's been cool, dude. It really has been cool. So, that's been this week, honestly. That was this week in comedy. And I'm happy about it. For real. So, all right. That's long enough. We're at 20 minutes. So thank you very much for watching this. Like and subscribe. God bless.